The night I told my family about my heart condition, I heard my daughter-in-law, Jessica, screaming through the bedroom wall. "Get this sick old man out of my house, Michael. I want him gone in 1 week." I'm Benjamin Parker. I'm 67 years old. I didn't cry. I didn't knock on their door. I said nothing at all. Instead, I sat in the dark in my small bedroom and opened my laptop. The screen glowed blue as I logged into my private banking account. Balance: $8,247,892.43. Then I started looking at houses. Real houses. The kind you buy with cash. Let me back up and tell you how I got here. The manila folder sat heavy in my briefcase as I drove home from Dr. Laura Peterson's office that April afternoon in Phoenix. Inside were test results and a diagnosis that would change everything: moderate heart failure. Dr. Peterson had been gentle but direct. "Mr. Parker, with proper medication and lifestyle changes, you're looking at 15 to 20 good years ahead. This isn't a death sentence." I thanked her and driven to what I'd been calling home for the past 2 years, my son Michael's house in North Phoenix. A beautiful place in a nice neighborhood that I'd helped them buy with a $75,000 down payment gift. They thought that gift had stretched my finances to the limit. They had no idea. My late wife Susan and I had built Parker Construction from nothing. Started in 1985 with a beat-up pickup truck and a toolbox. I was 28 years old, fresh out of trade school, with more determination than sense. We'd worked 16-hour days, saved every penny, and slowly built a business that specialized in shopping centers and apartment complexes across Arizona and Nevada. Susan handled the books while I managed the crews. She was the brains, I was the muscle. Together we made it work. When cancer took her 5 years ago, we owned the whole company, 47 employees, $2.8 million in annual revenue. I sold Parker Construction in 2019 to a Dallas investment group for $6.8 million. After taxes and smart, investing with my banker Scott Wilson, I was sitting on over $8 million. But my son Michael and his wife Jessica didn't know that. As far as they knew, I'd sold the business for enough to retire modestly. They thought the $2,500 I gave them in cash every month was stretching my limited Social Security and retirement savings. They thought I was living with them because I couldn't afford my own place. The truth? Those monthly payments were less than what my investments earned in a single day. It was a test. A test to see if they loved Benjamin Parker, the person, or just Benjamin Parker, the helpful grandfather with a little extra cash. I pulled into their driveway at 4847 Desert View Drive. It was a lovely house, 4 bedrooms, modern kitchen, pool in the back where I'd taught my grandkids to swim. My contribution had made it possible, but they seemed to have forgotten that detail. Inside, I could hear normal family sounds. My 9-year-old grandson Tyler was practicing guitar. I'd bought him that guitar for Christmas. My 7-year-old granddaughter Rebecca was chattering about her day at school. These kids were the light of my life, which made what was about to happen even more painful. "Grandpa Ben!" Tyler dropped his guitar and ran to hug me. I squeezed him tight, breathing in his little boy smell of shampoo and playground dirt. Kid looked just like Michael at that age. "How was the doctor, Dad?" Michael appeared from the kitchen. He was 40 years old, worked as an engineer, made decent money. But he'd always been soft, easily influenced. His mother used to worry about that, said he needed to grow a backbone. "Got the results," I said, holding up the folder. Jessica emerged from her home office, still in her business clothes. She worked as a marketing manager downtown, made good money herself. Together they pulled in about $135,000 a year, which should have been plenty for this house. But they spent more than they made, always upgrading, always needing the latest thing. "Let's talk after dinner," I suggested, not wanting to upset the kids. We gathered around their dining room table like we had hundreds of times before. Jessica had made salmon, quinoa, and steamed vegetables, everything healthy and Instagram-worthy. I'd watched her photograph the meal before we sat down. Had to get that perfect lighting. "So," I said, cutting my salmon into small pieces. Dr. Peterson gave me some news today. Everyone looked up. Tyler's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. I have heart failure, moderate stage. The silence stretched out like a held breath. Heart failure? Jessica's voice went higher, sharper. Dad, that sounds serious. It sounds worse than it is, I said calmly. It's manageable with medication and lifestyle changes. Dr. Peterson was actually optimistic. With proper care, she said I could have 15 to 20 good years ahead. Michael reached for his water glass, hands shaking slightly. That's good, Dad. Manageable is good. You'll beat this. You'll need to be careful, Jessica added. Take your medications. Follow doctor's orders. She glanced at Michael. Just for a second, a look I wasn't supposed to catch. A look that said something was already forming in her mind. Are you going to be okay, Grandpa? Rebecca asked, her voice small and worried. I smiled at her. I'm going to be fine, sweetheart. This just means I need to take better care of myself. Take my pills every day. Eat healthy like Grandma Susan taught us. Then Jessica smoothly changed the subject. Michael, did you finish the Morrison project proposal? The deadline's tomorrow. Just like that. My health, my diagnosis, my future dismissed like someone changing the channel on TV. They moved on to work talk, school events, weekend plans. I ate my salmon and memorized every detail of this moment. The way Jessica's fingers drummed against the table, the way Michael avoided looking directly at me. After dinner, I went to my room, the converted den where I'd been, living for 2 years. It had been Jessica's craft room before I moved in, and I'd heard her complain about losing the space more than once through these thin walls. From my dresser drawer, I pulled out this month's envelope. Inside were 25 crisp $100 bills. $2,500 exactly. I'd been preparing these envelopes for 24 months now. $60,000 total I'd handed over like some kind of rent payment. I found Michael in the kitchen loading the dishwasher, sleeves rolled up, working methodically. This month's contribution, I said, handing him the envelope. He took it without opening it. Didn't even say thank you anymore. Just tucked it into his back pocket like it was earned, expected, owed. Thanks, Dad. 2 years ago, when I'd first started giving them this money, there had been gratitude, genuine appreciation. Dad, you don't have to do this. Are you sure you can afford it? This is so generous. No, nothing. The gratitude had evaporated, replaced by entitlement. I went back to my room and tried to read, but the walls in this house were paper thin. You could hear water running through pipes, footsteps upstairs, voices carrying from room to room. Around 10 p.m., I heard Michael and Jessica's voices from their bedroom down the hall. At first, just murmurs, the low hum of conversation, then louder, sharper, angrier. I shouldn't have, but something, instinct, intuition, the way they'd looked at each other during dinner, pulled me out of bed. I opened my door quietly and stepped into the dim hallway. Their door was closed, but yellow light leaked from underneath, and their voices grew more distinct. Michael, keep your voice down, Jessica was hissing. The kids are asleep, Jess. We need to talk about your father. My hand tightened on the doorframe. Wait. Michael said, your father, but he was talking about me. They were both stressed, mixing up their words. I'm listening, Michael said. We need him out. Jessica's voice came through crystal clear now, sharp with an anger I'd never heard directed at me. I'm done, Michael, completely done. He's your father, Jess. Where's he supposed to go? I don't care. Jessica's voice turned ice cold. A nursing home, assisted living, anywhere. We gave him a place when he needed it. Now he needs to figure out his own situation. My chest tightened, but this wasn't my heart condition. This was the pain of hearing people you love talk about you like garbage to be disposed of. Especially now with his heart problems, Jessica continued. What if he dies here, Michael? What if the kids find him? Did you think about that? Jessica, he pays us $2,500 a month. $2,500? Her laugh was bitter, cutting. This house costs us $3,200 just in mortgage payments. That doesn't count utilities, food, everything else. He's barely covering half his share. Half my share? I'd given them $75,000 for the down payment and been contributing $2,500 a month for 24 months. That was $135,000 total, more than half their house payments for 2 years. And now he's sick, Jessica went on. Heart failure means doctor visits, medications, probably home care eventually. Who's going to manage all that? Me? That's who. And I won't do it. What do you want me to say to him? Tell him we need space for our growing family. Tell him it's better for his health to have his own place. I don't care what you say. Just get him out. Silence stretched out. I stood frozen in that hallway, waiting for Michael to defend me, to channel some backbone, to stand up and say, "He's my father. We'll figure this out together." Instead, I heard, "Okay." His voice came out small, defeated. "Okay, I'll talk to him tomorrow." 1 week, Michael. I want him gone in 1 week. I stepped backward, carefully, quietly, back into my room, and closed the door without making a sound. Then I stood there in the darkness, letting it wash over me. 2 years ago, Jessica had called me in tears. "Dad, Michael and I found our dream house, but we're $75,000 short on the down payment." I'd written the check the next day, told her it was most of what I had from selling the business. Jessica had hugged me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Dad. This means everything to us. We'll never forget this." Michael had shaken my hand, emotional. "We'll never forget this, Dad. Never." Now they wanted the sick old man gone. I moved to my closet and found the small lockbox on the top shelf. Inside were my real financial statements, the ones I'd been keeping hidden. The most recent one showed $8,247,892.43. I sat on my bed with that statement and picked up my phone. I opened my banking app, then a real estate app. I typed, "Phoenix Luxury Homes $400,000 to $600,000. The screen filled with beautiful properties. A contemporary home in Scottsdale with mountain views. A renovated ranch in Paradise Valley with a 3-car garage where I could set up a proper workshop. A modern townhouse in Central Phoenix. For the first time since hearing Jessica's voice through that wall, I felt something other than pain. I felt cold, clear purpose. They wanted the sick old man out? They'd get their wish. But they had no idea what that sick old man could afford. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I planned. I emailed my attorney, Michelle Davis, who'd been handling our family legal matters since Susan and I started the business. I asked for an urgent morning appointment. I also emailed Scott Wilson at First National Bank about transferring $500,000 to my checking account for a cash house purchase. By 6 a.m., I had responses. Michelle could see me at 9 a.m. Scott would have the money ready by Friday. At 7:30, I heard Michael's alarm. I waited until he was in the kitchen making his coffee, then walked out with my briefcase and car keys. "You're up early, Dad," he said, looking nervous, guilty. "Couldn't sleep," I replied. "Michael, I heard what you and Jessica discussed last night." His face went white, coffee mug frozen halfway to his lips. "Dad, the walls are thin," I said quietly. I heard everything. I watched him process what that meant, watched the color drain from his face as he realized I knew exactly what they'd said about me. "It's fine," I continued before he could speak. "Jessica's right. It would be better for everyone if I found my own place." "Dad, we didn't mean—" "I'll be out by noon today," I said, as if he hadn't spoken. "I've already made arrangements." I turned and walked out, leaving him standing there with his coffee, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. At 9 a.m. sharp, I sat across from Michelle Davis in her downtown Phoenix office. She was a sharp woman in her 50s, who'd helped Susan and me navigate every major business decision for the past 15 years. I told her everything. The diagnosis, the dinner, the conversation I'd overheard, Jessica's ultimatum. Michelle listened without interrupting, taking notes. "Benjamin," she said when I finished, "they still don't know about the money. Nobody knows except you, Scott, and me. Your son thinks you're living paycheck to paycheck. My son thinks I'm a burden he can discard when convenient." Michelle leaned forward. "What do you want to do?" "I want to buy a house, cash, today, if possible, and I want you to review some old paperwork." I pulled out copies of the documents Michael and Jessica had signed when I gave them the down payment money. They thought it was a simple gift, but I'd been careful about the legal structure. "This is a promissory note," Michelle said, studying the papers, "for $75,000 plus the documented monthly contributions. That's $135,000 total, with standard interest over 2 years. She did quick calculations. "They owe you approximately $142,000. They signed it because they trusted me when I said it was just for tax purposes. But it's legally binding. You could demand immediate repayment." I smiled for the first time in 12 hours. "Good, because I'm about to teach them what it feels like to lose everything." By noon, that same day, I was signing purchase papers for a beautiful home at 3247 Desert Springs Drive. It was everything their house wasn't. Bigger, newer, better neighborhood, mountain views from every window, a 3-car garage where I could set up my workshop again, $485,000, paid in cash. The realtor, Diane Morrison, kept shaking her head. "Mr. Parker, I've never seen a same-day cash purchase like this. Are you sure you don't want to think about it?" "I've been thinking about it all morning," I told her. "I want it." Scott Wilson had transferred the money faster than I'd expected. When you've got $8 million in assets, banks move quickly. The sellers were relocating to California and needed to close fast. Perfect timing. The moving truck I'd hired that morning was already at Michael and Jessica's house when I returned. Elite Moving Company. I'd paid triple their normal rate for emergency service. 2 guys, Marcus and Jerome, were efficiently loading boxes into their truck. Jessica's white SUV was in the driveway. She must have come home from work early. I could see her through the front window, standing in the living room looking confused and panicked. "Dad!" She rushed outside as I directed the movers. "What's happening? Michael said you're leaving today, but I thought—" "You thought what?" I kept my voice level. "I thought we'd have time to talk, to work this out. You said 1 week. I'm giving you something better. You get your house back immediately." I handed her an envelope containing $2,500. "This month's contribution. Consider it my final gift." "Dad, wait, can we please talk about this?" But Marcus needed direction about my bedroom furniture, and I had a new life to start. I left a note on their kitchen counter. "Thank you for your hospitality these 2 years. Found new housing and will be moved out by noon. Don't worry about the sick old man anymore. The envelope is this month's final contribution." At 12:30 p.m., I stood in my new living room. My living room. In my house, bought with my money. The place was incredible. Open floor plan, granite countertops, a master suite that was bigger than the entire den I'd been living in. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Phoenix Mountain Preserve. I called Tyler and Rebecca that evening. "Grandpa, where are you?" Tyler's voice was confused. "Mom said you moved away." "I found my own house, buddy, a really nice one. Want to come see it this weekend? Can we swim in your pool?" I looked out at the sparkling pool in my backyard. "Absolutely." For 1 week, my phone stayed quiet. One text from Jessica. "Dad, hope you're settling in okay. Take care of yourself." 12 words of obligation. I spent that week unpacking, organizing my workshop in the garage, finding new doctors closer to my house. I joined the Desert Hills Senior Center with a pool, good for my heart condition. I even met a nice lady, Margaret Torres, at the community center. We had coffee twice. On day 8, Michelle made the phone call. At 2 p.m., her voice was professional, but deadly. Mr. Parker, this is Michelle Davis, an attorney here in Phoenix. I represent your father, Benjamin Parker. I wasn't there, but Michelle called me immediately afterward to report the conversation. Is Dad okay? Did something happen? Michael had sounded worried. Mr. Parker is fine. I'm calling regarding his estate planning and some outstanding financial matters that may affect your family. What kind of matters? Mr. Parker, I'd recommend you come to my office this afternoon. This would be better discussed in person. At 2 p.m., Michael sat across from Michelle's mahogany desk. She'd arranged the documents beforehand. My real portfolio statement on top, then the property deed for my new house, then bank statements showing the $485,000 cash purchase. Mr. Parker, I'm handling some financial planning for your father, and he wanted you informed of his current situation. She slid the portfolio statement across the desk. Investment, portfolio, First National Private Banking. Account holder, Benjamin Parker. Current balance, $8,247,892.43. Michelle told me Michael's face went completely blank, like a computer freezing mid-task. I'm sorry, he said. What is this? This is your father's investment portfolio, currently valued at approximately $8.2 million. She showed him the property deed next. 3,247 Desert Springs Drive. Purchase price $485,000. Paid in cash. Closing date, yesterday. Then the bank statements showing Parker Construction's sale proceeds from 2019. But he was living with us, Michael whispered. He gave us money every month because he couldn't afford his own place. Mr. Parker, Michelle said gently, your father has never needed financial assistance. Those monthly contributions were his choice, not his necessity, approximately 0.3% of his monthly investment income. She delivered the final blow with professional detachment. There's also the matter of a promissory note you and your wife signed 2 years ago. The total amount, including the down payment gift and monthly contributions with interest, comes to approximately $142,000. Your father is reconsidering the informal arrangement. Michael just sat there, staring at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. Previously, your father considered this a family gift. But given recent circumstances regarding his living situation, he's exploring legal recovery options. Recent circumstances? He'll contact you when he's ready to discuss it. He wanted you to understand the full scope of what's at stake. Michael sat motionless for another minute, then stood abruptly. I need to call Jessica. That evening, my phone exploded. 19 missed calls from Michael and Jessica. Text messages poured in every few minutes. Michael, 4:15 p.m. Dad, please call me. We need to talk urgently. Jessica, 4:45 p.m. Dad, I just talked to Michael. I had no idea about your finances. Please let me explain. Michael, 5:30 p.m. Dad, I'm sorry for everything. Please just talk to me. Jessica, 6:20 p.m. The kids miss you. Please come for dinner this weekend. We can work this out. I deleted each message without responding. I was done being convenient. The real lesson was just beginning. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived at 4847 Desert View Drive. Jessica signed for it with shaking hands. Demand for payment, promissory note acceleration. The letter, on Michelle's law firm letterhead, demanded immediate payment of $142,000 within 60 days, or face foreclosure proceedings on their home. Jessica called me immediately, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Dad, please. This letter says we owe you $142,000. It says you'll take our house. Dad, this is our home. The kids' home. We can't afford this. Jessica, I said calmly, do you remember 2 years ago when I gave you money for your house? Yes, you said it was a gift. I said verbally it was a gift, but you signed legal paperwork. A promissory note for the down payment plus monthly contributions. You said that was just for tax purposes. I said a lot of things. You heard what was convenient. But we can't pay this. Dad, please. We don't have this kind of money. You have 60 days. I suggest you start planning. What happened next was exactly what I expected. They started selling everything. Jessica's designer handbag collection went first. $4,200 from bags that cost her $8,000 new. Michael's golf clubs, his poker table, the expensive grill from their patio. Within 3 weeks, they'd raised $47,000. Still needed $95,000. Michael called his parents in Oregon. They managed to send $20,000, their vacation fund. Jessica's sister in California sent $15,000 from her kids' college savings. They were still $60,000 short with 2 weeks left. That's when they showed up at my house. I was reading in my new study when I saw their car pull up. They sat outside for 15 minutes before getting out. When they finally approached my front door, they looked smaller somehow. Defeated. I met them at the door but didn't invite them in. Dad, Michael said, his voice breaking. We're here to apologize. For what? I kept my tone neutral. For everything, Jessica said, tears streaming down her face. For treating you like a burden. For saying those horrible things. For taking your generosity for granted all these years. You hurt us that night, Michael added. You heard everything, and we can't take it back, but please, Dad, we've learned. We've really learned. I looked at them both. Jessica had lost weight from stress. Michael looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. What have you learned? That we treated someone we love like garbage, Jessica whispered. That we judged your worth by what you could give us instead of who you are. That we failed you when you needed us most, Michael added. When you got that diagnosis, our first thought should have been how to help you, not how to get rid of you. And now? I asked. Now we understand what we threw away, Jessica said. A man who built a business from nothing, who earned every dollar through hard work, who helped us when we needed it and asked for nothing but respect in return. I was quiet for a long moment, watching them, really watching them. The promissory note, I said finally, will be reduced to $85,000. You've already paid $47,000, so you owe $38,000 more. Payment plan, $500 per month for 6 years. No interest. They both sagged with relief. But, I continued, there are conditions. Family therapy. Every week for 6 months. You'll both volunteer at Sunset Manor to understand what you put me through, and visitation with Tyler and Rebecca will be at my house, on my schedule. Anything, Michael said. Whatever you want, Dad. And Jessica, I looked directly at her. You will never again speak about me the way you did that night. In my family, we respect our elders, even when they're inconvenient. Never again, she promised. I swear to you. That was 10 months ago. They've kept every promise. Therapy helped them understand how they became so entitled. Their volunteering at the senior center opened their eyes to how other families abandon their elderly. Tyler and Rebecca visit me every Saturday. We work on projects in my garage workshop, swim in the pool, and I tell them stories about their grandmother Susan and how we built something from nothing. Michael and Jessica are different now. Humbler, more appreciative. They've never missed a payment. Last week, Jessica asked if they could take me to dinner for my 68th birthday. I'd like that, I told her. As I hung up, I looked around my beautiful living room, at the photographs of Susan and me building our business, at the mountain view outside my window. I'd tested them, and they'd failed. But failure taught them what success never could. Sometimes the greatest love you can show someone is teaching them consequences. Margaret Torres and I are planning a trip to Sedona next month. At 68, with my heart condition managed, I've got good years ahead of me. Years to enjoy what Susan and I built. Years to watch my grandchildren grow up in a family that now understands the value of respect. The sick old man they wanted gone isn't gone at all. He's thriving, and that's the sweetest justice of all. Sometimes you have to lose everything to discover what truly matters, and sometimes the people who claim to love you need to learn that lesson the hard way. The greatest wealth isn't what's in your bank account, but knowing that the people around you love you for who you are, not what you can give them.